Welcome. I am the teacher. I'm going to be speaking briefly today on each pattern. As I mentioned in previous videos, each number has its own unique pattern, which I like to call the equation. For each pattern is sequence equality, and it pretty much sends out a signal to communicate a frequency for that. So you see, as you know, this is one of the patterns of life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the number 2 has its own pattern. The number 3, 369, 369, 369 has its own pattern. Number 4, as you know, this is one of the cycles of life. 483, one of the patterns of life rather. 483, 726, 159. Number 5 has its own pattern. Excuse my writing, I try to do the best I can. The number 6, one of the keys. Number 7 is one of the 3 patterns of life. 753, 186, 429. Then the number 8 has its own pattern. And then, of course, 9. It's 9. These are all the numbers. These are all the patterns of the numbers. The way each number gets its pattern, you start off by timesing it by the universal pattern here, which is the pattern of 1, which is one of the, once again, the 3 patterns of life, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 8, 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 5, 9, and 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9. Those are the 3 patterns of life. But just to get each number's pattern, you just times it by the 1. You start off with times it by 1. So for instance, let's just do 2 right quick. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is a 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. You break 10 down, that's 1. 2 times 6 is 12. You break that down, that's 3. 2 times 7 is 14. You break that down, that's 5. 2 times 8 is 16. You break that down, that's 7. And then 2 times 9 is 18. You break that down, that is 9. And you do that for each number here. If you want to find a pattern, you just times it by in this sequence here. And that's how you get your unique pattern. Because we all get our patterns from what? The 1. All these numbers exist because of 1. Now, I got in red, I got the diagonal here, and I got the diagonal here. It's very significant. If you remember the video of the pattern of 2, when I'm breaking it down, if you multiply each number by his whole number, it creates a pattern. It pretty much starts off creating this pattern right here, the pattern of 2. Because all whole numbers has to do with us. The whole creation has to do with us, which the number 2 represents us. So when God created himself out of nothing, the first number, the first expression was us. And that's why each whole number creates the pattern of us, the number 2. For instance, 1 times 1 equals 1. Okay? 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times 3 equals 9. 4 times 4 equals 16. 5 times 5 equals 25. 6 times 6 equals 9. 7 times 7 equals 49. When you break that down, it equals 49 equals 4. 8 times 8 is 61. You break that down, 64. You break that down, equals 1. And 9 times 9 equals 89. If you were to follow the breakdown of this, you see this pattern here. Eventually, it's created. I do it again. 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 3 plus 3 equals 9. 4 times 4 equals 16. It's 7. 5 times 5 equals 25. You break it down, it's 7. 6 times 6 equals 36. You break that down, that's 9. 7 times 7 equals 49. You break down 49, it's 13 equals 4. 8 times 8 equals 64. You break that down, that is 1. And the same, 9 times 9 equals 9. And if you were doing the patterns, you go back to number 2, and I said there was a secret in there. If you work the pattern, you would eventually see this pattern will come out when you break it down, because it's all about the equality and all about the whole numbers all relates to the number 2, because all in creation, it's about what? It's about us. So if you look at 81 on this top sign, when you break down all of these numbers, it comes down to 81. So you got 81, the circumference is what I'm talking about. You got 81 here, 81 here, 81 here, 81 here. You do 81 times 4 equals 324. Then you got this diagonal here. When you break down, this is 57, this is 57, this is 51. So when you break down to 51, it's 6. When you break down to 57, that's 3. The circumference of this is 18. If you add the 324, the 481s plus the circumference of that, it's like we do when we do the codes. It comes up to 342 when you add them together. It comes up to 342. So the total circumference of it is 342. All the numbers added up here is 459. You add them up together, it's 801 numbers. Count the circumference, counting what is within. From this side of the whole numbers, this pattern, the whole numbers, and each side, that's why I separated them here. If you count from each side, it's 204 and 204, which equals 408. When you do the 342, for that, it comes up to 1,009 or 1,209. When you break that down, you see that is the number 12, and when you break that down, that is the number 3. Once again, the universe is 12 base. Period. So all these numbers that you see here, it is what we call in the womb. So basically, when you say in the beginning, what's the word? And the word was with God, and the word was God. So basically, our language, our mathematical language, is 10 base. These are all the numbers and all the patterns for each number. This is the basic arithmetic. This is the basic example. When you go there are two forms of writing, in a sense. When people used to write on stones or chisel things within stone, they wrote from right to left, because if they went the other way, they would be going over the stone. So they went from right to left. And if you look from right to left, that's how you will see what the other diagonal number reaches that number there when you go diagonally with the math. From 9, 7, 3, 6, in the middle, there's the 7. Then you got 6, 3, 7, 9 once again. So basically, the number 7 is in the position of 5. Well, we know 5 is justice, and when you live in the number 7 represents the universe. So the universe is in the position here. It is in the center of it all. So when you start looking at the numbers, now if I would have wrote it better, you can see how the pyramid structures are actually made within this perfect square here. This is the perfect square where all the numbers are in line. There is wisdom within wisdom within wisdom in this code. This is a never-ending code here, period. What you see is every number and every pattern. Now, let's look at it like this. The first expression of the 1, he created us, and he's created the number 2 in his image and his likeness. The number 2 represents us. The number 2 is the beginning of us, and it is the beginning of how it puts all these whole numbers into motion. For instance, 2 is the only number like 0. Whether if you add it and you multiply it, you get the same result. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 times 4 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. In the diagonal, as you see here, when you're dealing with the whole numbers, 2 is the pattern that it'll eventually will. When you work the whole numbers and when you break it down, this pattern right here begins to see it. And if you look at the number 1, as when I was speaking in the 2, it is in the center. You got 4 numbers, which you call odd, and you got 4 even numbers to here. The reason why you say, well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got 5 odd, but the 0 is right here. The 0 is in front. Everything here is 0. 0, I didn't put it on the board, but it's the womb. Be careful how you deal with the womb. So, as you see, 1 and 3 surrounds the number 2, which 1 and 3 is what? 4. Here is the number 2 here, and right there, you see 4. Find another number 2. When you break it down, you're going to see 4 always surrounds the number 2. 7 and 6 is 13. You break that down, it's the number 4. And vice versa. It's the 6 and the 7 opposite. Here, you got 4 plus 9 is 13. You look at the number 2. Here is the number 2. Once again, you see 3 and 1 surrounds the number 2. So, the balance of life is always centered around the number 2. Well, look at the number 1. Here's number 1 here. You got 8 and 3. 8 and 3 is 11. You break that down as 2. You're going to find that the 1 and the 2 are forever connected. So there never was a time when we were not connected to God. There never was a time when the motion start, God's desire was to be among, or would be in the circumference, or within the middle of us. So once again, you got the 1 and the 6. There's the 1. You got the 8 and the 3, which is 2. You break it down as 11. There is the 1. You got the 2 and the 9. There is the 1. Wherever you see 2, you see the 1. No, we don't go anywhere within this universe without the 1 being the center of our thinking, the center of our way of life. Also, by being with the 1, we are guaranteed equality. We are guaranteed balance because the number 4 is there. Number 4 is balance. You can't get around it. You can't get around with 1 and 2, the significance as they are of one another. Just like when you look at the number 8, the number 8 represents everlasting life. And when you're dealing with everlasting life, you're dealing with the universe. That's why everything in the universe is life and is everlasting. So you look at the number 8, what is surrounded by it? 1 and 9 is 16, 7. 6 and 1, 7. 4 and 3, 7. Here, 7. There, 7. 8, 7. It's universal. So everything in the form of communication and what it all means. The best way, we can't explain the totality of what the numbers mean by writing the way we write language today, with words and words and words and letters of words. You will see why the Egyptians used what some people call hieroglyphics, because within the hieroglyphics there are different meanings, because it is the math that is speaking through the hieroglyphics more than just the words and how you think that you are interpret them. It's a deeper meaning behind that once you understand what the codes and the cycle that you're looking at. You are looking into the womb. You are looking into the womb here. These are all the numbers. These are all the equations. You and I are in the midst of all of this. This is the sacreds. This is the sacrency, what is sacred of the number 0. Every numbers dwell in 0. It's just as simple as that. These are all the patterns. And all the lessons that I have explained very briefly between 1 through 9, I spoke on each number, like I said I would do. A lot of people will have a issue trying to put the numbers into your everyday life, or try to understand the significance of this basic concept and try to put it into your everyday life. For one, our so-called everyday life is not based on truth. There is nothing that we do on a daily basis that has anything to do with the truth, has anything to do with the 1. Like for those who get up and go to work in the morning, or we may work for home, what is it? What is the main intent on what we do on our job? Does it have anything to do with the 1? Does it have anything to do with life? You might be a fireman. Your intent is to go and put out fires and to save lives. But there's other things that go with that job that has nothing to do with life. You may be an accountant. What does even though you are using mathematics to do your job, what does the system of money have to do with your life? Is money a universal thing? Can you plant it and does it grow? Imagine your life. Imagine your living is all about learning about life.
Most of us, if we ask what is life, it's it's hard to explain. What is the meaning of life? X, Y, Z. The meaning of life is to know the one. You are only present to strengthen your awareness of the one, because the one is the only thing that truly exists. If you're not dealing with the one, you are not dealing with true life. Period. If you don't think about the one, you're not thinking about nothing. If it's not to advance life, you are not doing anything worth nothing. You can be doing good, but everything good has nothing to do with the truth. It can just be circumstantial. It's not everlasting. You're just doing things. I built a car today. Okay, universally speaking, what does that car have to do with anything? Once the car is made, it's a form of transportation. Okay, you can also walk. Wouldn't it be more efficient if you built things close to you that you needed on a daily basis that you can walk to than to drive to? We feel like we have to be so scattered apart from one another. Why do we have to go to the grocery store to get our food? Why do we have to pay taxes? Why is there such thing as property taxes? Why is there such thing, I got to go out and get a job? Oh, you need to do a resume. Oh, you need to do this. Or how well do you interview? How successful do you want to be in life? And what life are you speaking of? For one thing, your divine life has nothing to do with this world. Absolutely nothing. Your success is how well do you know the one? Do you know him? Is the one that you think about? Is it the one that you seek? Another thing, I am not one to teach religion or to point to so-called religion. Every religion has a writing or a book to whom they take as or certain practices they feel that is needed for you to be considered to be a part of that religion. They might have certain laws, a holy book like the Quran or the Bible, or everybody can have their own book. You may have Buddhism, the writers in Buddhism, when you speaking of cause and effect. There's Hinduism, etc., etc. No matter what your religion is, no matter what you claim as your practice, as your faith, the math that you see on the board right now, mathematics, is the original language of the universe. And there is nothing that I'm showing you that should conflict with your religion. Because all I'm doing is showing you the math and giving you the expression and the pattern of each number. And what math does, it gives you a true result. So there's by using the method of arithmetic, there's nothing for us to argue about. If I say 3 times 3 equals 9, what are we going to argue about? Not only that, it can be proven. And it always is, no matter what your religion, what your culture is, or whatever, mathematics is something that you can take throughout the entire universe. So our language is 10 base because the one came out of nothing and went to the right side of the zero. Period. Period. And when that's why our language is tenfold. 0 through 9. There's only two forms of life, male and female. There's no other form of life other than that. That is true. The reason why 2 is called us, because that's exactly what it is. We were created in the image and the likeness of the One. And there is no number like 1, because 1 is the only number that can times itself and remain itself. Nor can we multiply and gain by timesing ourselves by 1. We cannot say the 1 is from us. We can only be from the One, because he's the only one that exists. So for instance, if you take 34 and times it by 1, what you going to be? You're going to be 1. Period. When you get to a completed state and you want change, the universe is going to give you a 0. That's how you get to the next level. 0 takes you to the next level. And if you don't handle the womb properly, and if you try to times yourself by the womb as though you are the One, the only thing that can come out of the 0 is change. The only one that ever came out of 0 was the One. And by his example, nothing comes out of the 0 old and previously. Everything that comes out of the 0 is new. Each and every one of us is a unique equation. No equation is the same. In other words, if I ask you to start counting, when are you going to stop? 0 makes all things new. The 0 is forever present. Male and female are always seeking equality with one another. That's why I say you are an equation, and your purpose is to find your equality and the understanding of that One. And the One is forever the centerpiece of your life. There he is, and he is surrounded, and he is in you. Period. Wherever there's the One, it is the 2. It is the manifestation of the 2 within that One. Our lives, as the Quran says, we are born knowing nothing, but the One is forever present. Meaning you are born in a womb, and if you walking around now and we are talking, we are in a womb of understanding. And everything we need, this is the numbers, the math is always around you. You cannot go anywhere or nowhere where the math is not present. And once the math knows you're observing it, okay, where you begin to think, the math is going to act according to what you understand. They call that quantum. The particles act freely and differently until the particles realize that you are observing them, and they start acting according to your understanding. So God wants us to experience our thoughts, basically. And as you experience your thoughts, you will grow. But at the same time, the key is to remember the only reason why we are in existence is because of the One. Because the One is the only number that can times itself and remain himself. That's why 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. You can't go beyond the One. We can never be greater than the One, because the One is all that truly exists. I am only experiencing what the one hath already experienced. Here's another thing about your holy books. If you and I were in a room and the devil comes into the room with us, will we consider where we at holy ground? In other words, can the devil exist on what you call holy? See, holy is something that has not been tampered with or diluted in any way. It's an original concept. Holy it maintains its holiness by staying in its original thought. The intention of this universe being created was to live in a harmony with the womb, where man and his woman finally reach an understanding of what you witness in the math, where we live according to the code of mathematics, and which is freedom, justice, and equality, when we understand the fullness of our 10 base, and mathematics becomes our language. The reason why I mentioned the holy books and things that you call holy. Show me in mathematics and using the basic arithmetic, show me an error. You won't find it. Nor will you create a problem that cannot be solved. Mathematics is the only language that has a solution for every cause and effect. There's a solution in mathematics. Mathematics is true harmony. Even when you making music, you are using mathematics. You're hitting chords. You're making a sound. True communication is with mathematics. When you reach a zone or you're in a groove and you're doing things instinctively, that's mathematics. Mathematics is all around us, even in this so-called modern world where money is the most important thing in this world. The financial system itself and money itself is based on mathematics. They want to track you by a number, by your social security number, etc. Mathematics. If you play the lottery and they want you to pick what is all that, they picking mathematics. Mathematics is all around you. The only problem is you don't understand it. You don't even know how to speak it. You don't even know how to create your own frequency. You don't know how to truly do your cause and effect. You can speak proper English or proper whatever your man-made language is, and you still ain't gonna know what the hell you're talking about. If you want to know what the hell you're talking about, I strongly suggest you to learn mathematics. I want you to learn and study the womb. Don't define it, because she is nothing that needs to be defined, because everything is within her is. This is where we come from. We come from the codes of mathematics. This is the pronounced one. This is us. 3 is the beginning of a cycle. 4 is balance. 5 is justice. 6 is complete yet incomplete, meaning you have brought something into manifestation. Now what? Here, number 7 is universal. Number 8 is everlasting life. And 9 is exactly what it is.
It is the completed state. When you get to your completed state and you want to go to the next level, the universe will give you a zero. It's a whole lot in here. It's a whole lot more in here. But I'm going to stop here. If you want
To look at the equations, if you want to study, but this is basic arithmetic, or what people call arithmetic. You see the circumference of it? And keep in mind, we are living in the days of the Son of Man, which the number of the Son of Man is 19. And the Son of Man is the one to lead you into all truth. When a complete one makes the number 19, and the very next number after 19 is us. And when we come into complete understanding, we will have our Son, which we call the Son of Man, because the Son of Man takes man to all truth because he has completed the cycles of life. So there's a new age coming in. And all your principalities and the things that you see sacred in, they have all failed you. All your languages have failed you. All your system of governments have failed you. It's one thing that you have not tried, nor have you put sincere effort into, and that's mathematics as your original language. As we go on our journey, as we go through life, it's one simple process of life. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1.